Supergirl Annual Issue 2 returns to Krypton, where Kara Zor-El competes in a sports championship, competing against Kryptonopolis. She goes against Rick's Zod, whom after smashing Kara down has a clear shot at their goal, but she soon returns, smashing him down even harder and dodging the other players to shoot the puck into the net, winning the championship for her team. Kara is celebrated by her team and meets with Rick's after the game. Rick's congratulates her as there is a rumbling noise which changes Rick's face into a monster as he says nobody is alive for her to share this day with now. Kara is soon brought back to reality by Rick's, who wonders if now's a good time for her to introduce him to her parents. Kara knows their families hate one another as she is called on by her parents, leaving the stadium with them. On the way home, Zor-El says that Kara played fine in the match but needs to train more. She asks her parents about the earthquake she felt, but they didn't really feel anything. Allura changes this conversation, talking about studies Jor and Zor are conducting on the quakes with the council, and they're meeting with them tonight, which means Kara is babysitting young Kal-El. She wonders just how long she will be babysitting, but Zor says there is no telling what the council will be doing, so she best pack an overnight bag. Kara protests, but her father won't hear it, but her mother says that they will make it up to her later. But Kara, however, is secretly glad it will be taking the whole night. Later, Kara gets ready in her room when she suddenly feels her face change in the mirror before quickly changing back. She is soon called by her mother as a holo call from Carter Hole comes in. Carter says that he has some exciting news, revealing that he submitted Kara's application on her behalf to the Historical Science Society, along with his recommendation, and because of that she has been invited to study there next term. Kara is excited, however Zor-El isn't so pleased, telling Carter Kara won't attend today's lesson with him since she has other matters to deal with. Zor makes his thoughts on Carter taking liberties with her application known, saying that he should have been made aware beforehand. He's also not so happy that Kara has decided to pursue historical science, whereas the House of El has always been ingrained in applied sciences. Kara says that she enjoys the historical side of history and science and wanted something different as another quake shakes the house. Again, Kara's mind is warped into seeing her parents as monsters who say they won't be a future and everything she ever cares about dies. Kara calls for it to stop and the quake does, and she finds herself dizzy. Zor-El knows that the quakes are increasing in number and they need to meet with the council right now. Later, Kara and her family arrive at Jor-El and Lara's house. Kara is given baby Kal-El to look after as the family head out to the Science Council meeting, warning Kara not to go outside with baby Kal-El. Kara plays with her cousin and it's not long before he falls asleep. There is a knock at the door and as Krypto barks, Kara answers the door to find Rick's there, who tries to woo Kara with a cheesy one-liner, but Kara reminds him that she isn't some prize for him to win over. She also reminds him that she was the one who won the championship earlier that day as they come back inside. Krypto barks at Rick's as he says that his team almost had Kara and her team and hopes she's not mad at the hit he gave her. Kara isn't mad at all since she got him back with his own hit. Rick's asks how her day went and she tells him how her father says she needs more practice, but she also heard from her history teacher that she was accepted into the Society of Historical Science, but her father again wasn't too happy. Rick's wonders if this is the reason why she doesn't want him meeting Rick's, but Kara says that he is a Zod and she is an El, and their families are sworn enemies, and her father would be angry if he found out Rick's was her boyfriend. Rick's is surprised that Kara used that word but likes it, and after a short awkward moment the two kiss and suddenly there is another earthquake, but Kara knows that this one is bad. Rick's again turns into a monster, saying everything dies and she can't let him die. Kara wants to know what she can do, and the monster says that she can stay with them and become atomized with them. The monster says that she doesn't have to suffer anymore and she can keep the guilt and pain where they belong, dead with them. Rick's grabs her, telling Kara to stay with them as she reawakens in her father's lab. Zor says there is no time since the planet is coming apart, and Kara wonders where Rick's, Jor, Lara and Kal are, and learns that the other elves have made their own preparations, and hopefully Kal and Kara will reach the safety of Earth. Kara hugs her mother, who is upset at everything they were unable to do together, but wants Kara to take it with her since she is Krypton now. Zor-El tells Allura to trust in science and if all goes well, they will soon follow after their daughter. Kara gets in her pod as she turns into the infected Supergirl, telling her parents their science doesn't work and they die, and Kal doesn't even remember Krypton, just her. Kara says that she doesn't want to be alone anymore, and she is mad at herself for having survived, never giving a choice whether she wanted to stay or not. She tells her parents that she wants to stay, but soon the planet explodes and she finds herself rocketed away. She awakens suddenly in space where she calls for her parents, but the Batman who laughs answers, saying this is where she always lived, inside her own head and in the past, too afraid to let go. She isn't like that anymore, however, since she finally freed herself, and he wanted to talk to her before the universe sees this. The villain says he intended for Superman to be infected, but she sacrificed herself for him, and he's embarrassed he never actually planned for that happening, but it makes perfect sense, since why would Superman always get to be the star, since Supergirl is every bit the Kryptonian he is, more so even since she lived on Krypton, yet she is treated like the lesser of the two. The villain says that it's because he's the Superman while she is the Supergirl, and Krypton's death subdued her, kept her from reaching her true potential, but now she will love the new version of herself since she is now not defined by loss. As a gesture of thanks, the villain says that she will do something for him, enjoy herself for a change. Supergirl knows that she can do that, as in the present she confronts her cousin, blasting him with her heat vision before telling him that this is the real her, and she feels liberated. She plans on showing him just how amazing it really is as she tells Superman to join her. Supergirl Annual Issue 2 was a fantastic issue from Robert Venditti that got into the mind of Kara as she turned into the infected Supergirl by the Batman who laughs. I love the deep dive into Kara dealing with survivor's guilt of sorts and not letting go of her former life on Krypton, and how she let it define her entire life and being. But now with the infection, she seems to let that go and can move on. I'm very interested to see if that actually continues after she is cured, or if she continues to feel guilty for living. It also gives her disdain for General Zod and the Zods more weight, since we see here she has a relationship with one of the Zods and he dies and all the other Zods die, and the first Zod she sees after that is someone who tries to kill her. It's a great little bit of history between the characters and the families as well, because it's very Romeo and Juliet in that way, and it was fantastic, and I hope we get to see more of that. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.